Good afternoon, BookTube. This is Felicity McCarthy. I haven't been on YouTube for quite a while. I went on to look at something else and realized I hadn't been on YouTube or doing anything on my account for 2 years. My goodness. Anyway, it's not like I haven't been doing anything. I've been reading up a storm. But I thought I would make my limping return to BookTube with a video on my greatest vice right now, which is not finishing books and starting more. But I will start with a book that I just finished this afternoon. Absolutely fabulous work by Andrew Robinson called Lost Languages. This is a very well-written and fascinating book about the languages, that the ancient scripts that we've managed to decipher, and a whole pack of them that we haven't. So he talks about, of course, the Rosetta Stone and Champollion deciphering the hieroglyphics, and then he talks about the various attempts at deciphering linear B, and Chadwick's book, which I also have, but I've actually not read that one yet, on the deciphering of linear B, and then the Maya glyphs. So copious pictures. It's a really beautiful book. Copious pictures, maps, always very helpful, maps of whatever he's talking about, and tantalizing snippets of scripts that have been some that have been deciphered. And here's Rongo Rongo from the Easter Islands that has not been deciphered. Really beautiful. It's a wonderful book. Anyway, I finished it, so I thought, well, all right, so let's see what everybody else is doing. And I said, my goodness, 2 years. So I think the last time I did it, I spent too long talking about things. I'm going to try to make a very quick pass through a whole bunch of books that I'm reading. I'm in various stages right now that I haven't finished. They're fascinating. I can't not start them, but then I see another book that I have to start too. If I was, I better not ever have a bookstore. I'll never have any books to sell. So I've had a number of really nice, I guess, book hauls recently that I've had not very many for last year, but this year I have kind of gone to town. I just found a new bookstore in Piedmont called Tally Ho. Got a bunch of really nice books from them. A couple of them are here in this pile of books that I've started. Also, of course, a massive number of books that I brought back from Philadelphia, made a wide swath through a whole bunch of bookstores there and brought back a bunch. So I can't help myself, really. Anyway, so I might as well just get started. So I got in Philadelphia, I found one shop that had some really, really excellent selections, all used books. It was the two-part Library of America set of Edwin Wilson's essays. And I thought, well, thought about buying them sometime or looking at them. And this is huge, and they were in great shape. And I thought, oh, this is going to be just like sort of a blast from the past. But in fact, they're fabulous, fantastic essays on all the famous authors of the day. I think this is the early volume, which is from the 20s and 30s, and everybody who's anybody is in this book, having been reviewed by him. And so I've made a fair dent in this. I think I've gotten through the first section, which is called The Shores of Light, and I've kind of gobbled up those, and I've come to the end of that, and there's a new section. So then, of course, I said, well, let's see what else I have on my shelves. So Edmund Wilson is being read right now. And here's one. This is a reread. Okay, yeah, I'm rereading the Remembrance of Things Past in my beautiful old edition, which everybody has a prettier one than that now. But this one is very sentimental to me, and and I have a feeling I'm going to find when I finally get back to Volume 2, which is the Cities of the Plain, the Captive, and Through Past Recaptured, that I did skip around a bit, and I'm trying not to this time, so I'm reading it slowly, and I'll read one section or one of the books, and then I stop and I pick up one of the other books that's on my pile of books that I'm currently reading right now. I'm at Tally Ho, which was this lovely, small but very, very well curated bookstore in Piedmont that I just discovered because I had a gift certificate the other day. And amongst the other books, amongst many books that I got there was this little number. This is Barth on Barth. It is, I guess it's an autobiography, but it's really, I don't normally care for autobiographies, but this is fabulous. And it's sort of written in the manner of an encyclopedia. Oh yeah, there's their, that's the bookstore, Tally-ho, fabulous. So Barth on Barth it's a sort of an encyclopedic look at his life, and it's way more entertaining and interesting than just a standard like, oh, I did this and then I did that and I got older and I did stuff. He is talking about his literary works and his philosophy at the same time as he's talking about his life. It's also kind of thin, but there you go. I'm also in the middle of that one. Some time ago, I decided I was going to finally dive into my amazing collection of John Ruskin. In this case, it's the Stones of Venice, and I've dipped in a bit from time to time because there's all those wonderful illustrations, and I decided that it's time to read the whole thing, and so I started this at the beginning of the year, and I am very slowly making my way through. It is written in a fairly erudite, educated style of an older time, which sometimes is a little hard to get into, but I love that he has all these illustrations of architectural features. And of course, Ruskin was one of the great philosophers and writers of his time, and talked about, sometimes his discussions about other writers and other artists is a little over the top, but everybody's entitled to their opinion, and Ruskin was a very opinionated fellow. But there's all these amazing architectural features. So I'm enjoying slowly working my way through, and there's 2 more volumes of this when I get done with this. I mean, we will face it that if I never bought another book for the rest of my life, I have enough books here to keep me busy for a couple of lifetimes, but who's counting? Another one that I'm also working my way through, I just started reading Wallace Stegner's, it's a book of his, it's a book of his, mostly his poetry, but there's some of his prose works here, so Opus Posthumus. I was inspired to start this one because I was reading Edmund Wilson, and he does a beautiful review of a couple of reviews of Wallace Stevens' works, and so I thought, oh, well, do I have it in my library? Of course I have it in my library, so I'm reading Wallace Stevens' poetry, a bit at a time, along with all the other books. So some little while ago, I decided I was going to start reading, continue as I do. I'm going to continue reading. I started a new series from my Loeb library, which was the Deppnisoffice, or the Learned Banqueters, which is, it's not a real profound work, but it's fantastic in the sense that it's this amazing list of food, in this case, food and food people and foodies, and in the midst of discussing all these different things, he goes and he talks about all the different plants that things come from, and it come from a beast or a plant or what country it came from. But larded in between all of these food references is an enormous set of references to other authors of his time and before. So I'll be reading along and I'll say, oh, I never heard of him, and I'll look it up. Well, he's a lost author. Oh. Well, so he mentions, then he has one section where he's talking about Theophrastus, because of course he's talking about food plants. So he says, oh, Theophrastus, the inquiry into plants. And I said, I'm sure I have that one in my library, and so I do, so I started that one too. I think I have 2 volumes of the inquiry into plants, and slowly working my way through that. Why not? And because my reading is all over the place, and because I have all of these books that I acquired last year, 2 really large libraries merged in with mine, and I haven't even begun to really look at them carefully. So I am gradually reading those. Meanwhile, I had these 2 or 3 lovely book hauls this last year, of which there's some here. And from last year, I got a whole variety of things, including this really interesting book, Introduction to Zoroastrianism. Why not? I have it. On that light, from that same library that I was gifted, I got interested in some other things. So another book haul was from the Friends of the the Friends of, I think it was the Lafayette Library, I forget. It's over on the other side of the hill. And I thought, oh, well, I've got all these wonderful books that are about a lot of Southeast Asian and farther east and also west. Why don't I start reading some of the seminal works, the critical source works? And so I saw this and picked it up, started reading that. And I was going kind of slowly. It's a little exotic, but interesting. I know I'm going to try to make this not too long, so I'm going to really dash through because you can't see, but I've got a huge stack over here, and this is just part of what I keep dipping in and out of. This little guy I started at the beginning of the year because, again, I was reading some other work which I did finish, and they mentioned Emerson's essays, and in this was a particular mention of Emerson's The Conduct of Life, and I thought, wow, that sounds really familiar. I have the book. I've never read it. Well, I should probably do that. So I have this adorable little volume of Emerson, and there is at the back, it's a selection of various works of Emerson, and there at the back is his Conduct of Life, and he's kind of an inspirational writer, sometimes a little daunting, but well worth reading. Just, there are other books that I also need to read along with that. It was the same session. It might have even been Borston's The Seekers, and I said, oh, why have I not read Spinoza yet? I have the book in my library. So this is not his entire works, but these are sort of like highlights and some selections, and so I'm periodically picking this up and reading a little bit from Spinoza. And this was him writing back in the he was writing back in the, I think it was the 1500s, 1600s. You'd think I would remember such things as that. But he was excommunicated from his church because his beliefs were not in accordance with the law. He said God's there. God's a pretty remote dude, and we need to take care of some things ourselves because there's a lot of things that we're not really doing right. So he talks about a variety of things which mattered to him and which he felt were some of the things that were holding people back from actually being good people. So the chapter titles, the section or essay titles look like Of Superstition, Of the Interpretation of Scripture, Prophets and Prophecy, and as I'm reading it, it's a little esoteric, but there's a lot of really practical things, and I can see when I'm reading them why his church leaders might have been really annoyed with him, because he's saying, you guys aren't really doing the right thing. Let me show you why. So when I was in Philadelphia, I went to pack of bookstores, and one of them is Baldwin's Book Barn, which is one of my favorite places to go when I'm in Philly. I don't go often enough, and so every time I go back and go to Baldwin's, I realize it is becoming more of a young person's sport because the stairs are horrendous. But once you get up the stairs into the next level, wherever that level is, they have treasures there. Anyway, I found this fun one, Pen and Ink, and yes, it's a series of essays all about or around or written by Pennsylvania or Pennsylvanians or in Pennsylvania, and they're marvelous, and they are written by such eminent souls as Benjamin Franklin and Zane Grey and Doc Holliday, Ezra Pound, William Carlos Williams. So there's a whole bunch of really, really heavy hitters in this book, and yes, I'm enjoying that one too also. I think I picked it up, because it said Pennsylvania, but it also, the front cover was hilarious. So there you go, Pen and Ink. Another volume that I started that I'm anticipating I definitely will not finish until the end of this year at the very earliest, and that is another one that I picked up last year from this huge book collection. This was Paideia, The Ideals of Greek Culture, by Werner Jaeger. This is a 3-volume set. I do have all 3 volumes. And as I started reading it, I realized this is actually more important than I thought, because this is actually talking about what the ideal education looks like. And some of it is it's a little hard to read because it's kind of dated. The language is dated, but the ideas are not dated. So anyway, I'm working my way through Paideia by Werner Jaeger. And this just got it. I'm probably a third of the way through it. This one I got from Tally Ho, and I was thrilled to find it. So I'm a huge fan of Belle de Costa Green. This lady, she became the highest paid female and the first female librarian, and also a woman of color, for the Morgan Library. She built it up from a thing to a masterpiece, and this is a gorgeous book. So it's got of course it's got illustrations. It's very recently done, so the pictures are beautifully reproduced. So yeah, you can't ask for more than that. There's a lot of, so the pictures of Belle de Costa Green, and also just talking about her phenomenal career as librarian for the Morgan Library. And I'm enjoying reading this one a lot. She's one of my heroes. Farther back than that, yes, I'm still reading this guy here, Bernowski's The Ascent of Man, really important. I will get through it eventually. It's kind of slow reading, but it is a glorious book, and it has massive numbers of illustrations, and I guess that's how I am right now. I just kind of like flipping through books going like, hey, this is really tasty. Ooh, but that book is tasty too. I need to try one of those. You can see behind me that my library has grown in magnitude quite considerably since the last time I videoed it. I think 2 years ago, I think I was sort of hovering around 10,000 volumes, and now I am hovering over 13,000 volumes. So shelves have grown up like mushrooms all over my house. It's not a bad thing, really. I am also slowly grinding my way through Edward Gibbon's The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. I got this one with the same haul as the Paideia, and this is, of course, the beautiful folio edition of Gibbon's work. It has maps, it has illustrations, it has very nice type, and it smells nice too. I love the folio editions, and of course I was super lucky because this was a thing where the person was trying to make all of these books go away because this is a lot, and they were not really interested in having them continue being sitting around their house. So I got a whole bunch of beautiful older folio edition books for a very reasonable price. And the last one on that list, on that note, is this is also folio edition, same source. This is a history of Chinese civilization. And you know, when you get a folio volume, you know you're going to be in good hands, because whatever the book is that they're reproducing, it's going to be gorgeous, and it's going to be a book that should be in print forever and ever. And so it is. This is a work by a pretty important Orientalist, Jacques Garnet, and translated into English because I have no French. And it is fascinating, and it is 2-volume, and I'm gradually making my way through it. Anyway, so that's my current set of vices. That's a set of vices. My vices are books that I am not finished with, that I'm still reading, and while I'm still reading them, I pick up more books, and every time I look at my library, I can see it behind me here, and I can see it to the side of me over there. I think, but that one I haven't started either. Anyway, I hope this video finds you all well, and hopefully I will not wait another 2 years before doing another video, because I really enjoy sharing books that I've just gotten and books that I am reading or am about to read. And I look forward to seeing or speaking to you or reading or watching your videos again sometime soon. Thank you, and bye-bye for now.